Okay, so let me ask you something. What business is McDonald's really in? I mean, you're probably thinking burgers, fries, the usual. But what if that's all wrong?
Yeah, hint, it's got nothing to do with burgers. The real business, the secret sauce that built this massive global empire, well, it's something else. Something you probably never guessed.
So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to peel back the layers of those famous golden arches and find out what's really driving this thing. And trust me, it's a wild story of burgers, real estate, and a pretty controversial plan for success.
All right, first things first. To get to the bottom of this, we got to start with what everyone thinks they know. McDonald's, the fast food giant, right? They're always in this epic battle, the burger wars, especially against their biggest rival, Burger King.
But here's the thing. When you actually stack them up against each other, it's not really a fair fight. And it's not about who has the better burger. McDonald's just plays a different game. They dominate because their supply chain is just masterful. Their real estate choices are way smarter, and their brand is just rock solid. Burger King might have some funny ads, but McDonald's has absolutely nailed the fundamentals of the business.
So, it all comes down to these three pillars: insane efficiency in their supply chain, a brand that people trust all over the world, and a huge, massive portfolio of real estate. And I want you to really hang on to that last one. That real estate piece, that's it. That's the key. That's the secret to the entire empire.
Okay, so now we're getting to the real secret sauce. And it's not that sauce on the Big Mac. The real genius of McDonald's is the business formula, the model that takes a humble burger joint and turns it into an absolute money-printing machine. And this quote, this says it all. This was advice given to Ray Kroc, the guy who made McDonald's what it is today. And it just changes everything. He was told, listen, you're not in the burger business. You're in the real estate business. You see, you don't build an empire selling 15-cent hamburgers. No, you build it by owning the land where those hamburgers are cooked.
So how does that work? Well, it's basically a two-part formula. For the handful of restaurants they actually own themselves, yeah, they run it like a normal business. They get the revenue, they pay the costs. But for almost all the others, the franchises, McDonald's is basically just the landlord. They collect rent checks and royalty fees. That's it. That means way less risk for them and way, way higher profit margin.
And get this, over 90%. Think about that. More than 90% of their restaurants are franchises. So let's be clear. McDonald's is not a restaurant chain that happens to be into real estate. No, it's a real estate empire that just happens to sell burgers.
Okay, but here's where the story gets really juicy. This brilliant, world-conquering model, it wasn't the brainchild of anyone named McDonald. Nope. It was put together by a pretty controversial guy who saw the potential and, well, depending on your point of view, he either grabbed a golden opportunity or he straight up stole someone else's dream.
So here's the quick history. Back in the 1940s, you've got the McDonald brothers, Richard and Mac. They invent this incredible, super efficient system for making fast food. Then, flash forward to 1954. A 51-year-old milkshake machine salesman named Ray Kroc stumbles upon their restaurant, and his mind is just blown. He talks them into letting him franchise the concept, but his ambition is on a whole other level. And by 1961, he's bought the brothers out for good, taking everything, the name, the system, the whole shebang.
And if you want to know what kind of guy Kroc was, just read this quote from him. Yeah, if my competitor were drowning, I'd stick a hose in his mouth and turn on the water. He was absolutely ruthless. He didn't come up with the idea, but man, did he have the drive to make it huge. And he wasn't going to let anyone, not even the guys whose name was on the sign, get in his way.
So, what did the original McDonald brothers get for their invention? They each walked away with $1 million after taxes. Now, that's almost $10 million each in today's money, which sounds like a lot, right? And it is. But it's just a drop in the bucket compared to the billion-dollar empire that was built on their name and their ideas.
But building an empire this big, well, it always comes with a price. And the same business model that makes all that money also creates these huge side effects, these hidden costs that you won't find on any financial report.
And a deep dive from the Rotterdam School of Management points to two really big ones. First, there's the health impact. Let's be honest, the core menu isn't exactly health food, and it plays a role in global issues like obesity and diabetes. And then there's the environmental cost. The whole business depends on meat production, which is tied to things like deforestation and massive carbon emissions. Oh, and all that packaging too.
So this all leads to two huge risks for McDonald's down the road. I mean, what happens if those hidden costs suddenly become not so hidden? What if governments start slapping on carbon taxes or force companies to make healthier food?
That could completely blow up their whole business model, which is built on being cheap and easy.
And here's something that really makes you think. McDonald's talks a lot about its goals for sustainable packaging and sourcing its beef better. But if you look at their top 5 priorities, the actual nutritional value of their food, it's nowhere to be found. That kind of makes you wonder where their focus really is, doesn't it?
So, all of this brings us to the big final question. The business model that made them a global powerhouse, can it actually survive in a future where people are demanding something completely different? And this isn't just talk. There are real numbers to back it up. That case study actually calculated the financial risk. And look, if you start to factor in these ESG, environmental and social risks, things change fast. Sales growth slows down, profit margins shrink, and the cost of doing business goes up. The result? The estimated value of the whole company could drop by a whopping 30%. 30%.
So when you boil it all down, here's the deal. McDonald's built a jaw-dropping empire on a genius real estate strategy that was cleverly disguised as a burger joint. But the foundation of that whole thing, food that's super cheap, super fast, and super convenient, is now under attack from all sides. So the real question for McDonald's isn't just what's for dinner, it's whether their entire recipe for success is about to expire.